Yo, it's Guido. Let's talk about initial positioning and top tier and what you need to be doing in a game to win. You can camp, it's true. There is no rule in this game that says you must use your top tier heavy. Go to the smart place. There's no rule that says you have to be smart. There's no rule that says you can't turn your heavy into a sniper. That being said, there is a reality that if you choose to position poorly, whatever the reason, you're probably going to have more losses than you have wins. And I don't even know if it's probably. I think you can almost say you will in this game. If you continually take important / top tier tanks, especially heavies, and put them on sniper hills, you are going to have a lower win rate. I mean, I don't even know. I suppose you could find somebody who does it. Maybe a good enough player, possibly. But I'm talking about going there from the very beginning like we see this TNH 105. And I got 2 examples of what potentially your initial positioning and decisions will do to cripple your team. So I am here in my KV 122 on Sand River, headed over here to the south, and my spidey senses are going off. We have a Barask. That's not good. I get lit right there. I think the Barask probably. The E25 takes a couple hits. It's me, a Panther, and what's left of an E25. And I'm looking at this TNH over here going, this is not good at all. Not good at all. The IS is actually back at cap 2. And I figure once I see the Progetto, there is zero reason for me to be here. Because if this player is what I think he is, and he is in terms of skill, his sniper capability is not going to save me from getting rolled over by the Barask and the Progetto. It's very possible you won't even notice. And as a matter of fact, he doesn't seem to be right now. He's up on this rock shooting at guys down in the pit. Okay, so his position decision was, I know there's a brawl in the pit. If they push my guys, then I can sit up here on this sniper hill and shoot at them, which is what he's doing right now. Meanwhile, the south over here is getting completely overrun, and I'm looking at a Progetto, an Object 274 Alpha, a Burr, and a KV4, and I know what's up. Right? This flank is done. The other flank is in a scrum. We'll see how it goes for them. It's probably fairly even. In fact, they should have a decent overmatch in terms of mediums because they've got the Vipera up there. They've got the Astron. They've got the 34-3. They actually and the Burr, so they should be in good shape. Turns out they're not, but that's another story. Excuse me. So I am bailing out of this thing. Down goes the E25. The Panther stayed. This is exactly what you would expect if you stay and you're in a Panther or my tank over here trying to stop what is essentially going to be 3 8s eventually, but is at least 2 8s right now. And you got this guy right here. Now he's finally looking. Let's see how he helps our Panther hero. He's driving on a rock. He's up. Okay. He's getting some altitude. I'm thinking, well, maybe I can get at least a snap on these guys. Let's give this a shot here. Let's see if we can kind of... Boop. Okay, good. That worked. But we got lit. Low rolled 356. Now he's getting hammered because he's sideways for some inexplicable reason. He's been driving up on the rock, and now he's lost all his hit points. Panther's dead. And this is what I would expect from a hold-down tank like the 274. He's playing exactly as I would expect. And as I look at this position, that is untenable. I am not going to be able to hurt him. And he's going to pick away at me. So I figure, you know what? Let's just get out of here. I do take one peek because I think he fired. And then I hit the rock because I am backing up when I fire, right? I'm so hasty and trying to pop out and minimize my exposure. And there goes... And that, my friends, is the ignoble end of our heavy tank sniper. Who... Oh, man. So we're going to bail out of this. To be honest, they had some pretty good tanks. We lost way too many guys early. Even that north scrum is about to lose. So we're down, what, 5 tanks already. And this goes exactly as you might expect it would go from here. We'll just kind of timestamp forward. I'm trying to make a runner. I finally get up to this area. I got a whole 356 hit points. Pushing in on these guys, what can we do? Not much. I got 758, and the last stand right here. I'm just trying to get some damage, and it is an absolute face roll. All right. Would the TNH going south save this game? No. Very, very, very unlikely. Would we had potentially a better time of it if he'd have positioned better? Yes, maybe we'd have killed a few in there. And it's degrees of improvement, my friends. If you look at that and go, well, it was a loss anyway, screw it, let him camp and he'll get some hit points. That's not the point. If you are attempting to get better at this game and you want to win, you need to go to the right places and try to do the right things. That doesn't mean you're going to win just because you did that. You got to do it really well. And then you need some help from your team as well. Okay? I mean, I know I talk a lot about if you played a perfect game, you can win. This is a very that's a very esoteric and theoretical way to look at it. But the probability of that is very, very low, vanishingly. Low enough as makes no difference to make it impossible, except that it is possible, although the probability is low, if you're following what I'm saying. So if you want to get better, you got to do those things. You can't be going and crippling your team and going to those positions, because there are situations where that player will do that and their team will win. And more than likely, they're gaining the wrong or learning the wrong lesson from those games, thinking that that was a good decision, and that's part of what helped them win. Because invariably in those situations where they park on a sniper hill like that and they win, the enemy team pushes in weakened and they do some damage and they defend the cap. Right? Be careful what you think you learn from looking at replays and your successes or even your failures. We've got to really be careful about what we thought we learned from them. All right, one more example. All right, second example, audience participation. We have done our initial deployment. They've lost a couple guys, a Tiger 131 and a Leopard. It is encounter. We're on Lake Himmelsdorf, Lakeville, Dorf. We have a fairly significant group, 5, I guess, is fairly significant. It's a third of our team over in the Valley of the Noobs, and it is a tier 7. I'm top tier, right? So we've been discussing that top tier positioning and doing what you've got to do top tier. I'm in a KV-122. The enemy team has a Tiger, a Super Hellcat, and we have a T-25AT. T-25AT is doing what you might expect a T-25AT to do down in the south. Their Super Hellcat is unspotted as of yet. I wouldn't really expect it to come into the town, although wait for it. And of course that leaves the Tiger 1. So pay attention, audience participation. Let me know when you see it. Let me know when you see it, based on what we just discussed. Positioning, top tier, what it is you need to be doing in order to create wins. So we'll come up here, KV1, I'm feeling all right. This 122 is going to spank this guy. We'll just push in. He gets hit, come around the corner. Just auto-aim him, take him down, great. Backing out. The fight over in the Valley of the Noobs is happening. We have an Easy 8 facing our guys. They're trying to figure it out over there. Ooh, I get hit by an RBFM. I don't want to get hit too many times by that guy because he fires so fast. Artie now knows I'm in there, so I have Artie's attention. Let's just go ahead and turtle up against this. And we're in pretty good shape, right? We got their Tiger 131. We got a Churchill, a KV1, a T1, so we're up 5-2. Looks like the Valley of Noobs is going okay. I would like some of those guys actually to come back to the city, because if you notice, we've only got 4 guys in the city, and one of them's a Leopard, and some campers in the back, and the Firefly, I don't know what the heck that guy's doing. So I'm kind of looking at this going, a little bit uncomfortable. I like the lead we've created. I'm a little bit uncomfortable based on what I'm seeing. But let's see what happens. Our Hellcat comes in. Valley of the Noobs is fighting on and on. And I'm expecting a counterattack, right? They know we're in here. They have some pretty good tanks. A lot of guys are unspotted. We only have 3 of them spotted. A lot of their guys are TDs, but there's some turreted TDs, and they got the Tiger 1. So I'm thinking there's going to be a counterattack in here. And I'm going to tell you what, if I had a Tiger 1, I would get in the town, and I would start munching this 122 for lunch. So I'm going to hang out here. I'm waiting for Mr. Tiger 1 to show up. Like I said, let me know when you see it. Top tiers, positioning. I'm probably... Oh! See him? See where that guy went? Top tier Tiger 1 went to AB1 on Himmels Lakeville Dorf. Himmels Lake Dorf. And camped in the back. Literally as far away from the cap as you can get. As far away from a heavy position as you would want to go as a top tier. Taking a very capable top tier and going to a corner of the map like that would be more acceptable if this was a standard battle and not a encounter, but it is an encounter. So I don't know, man. You know, all we can do is see what we see on the map. We don't know what's going on with that person. We don't know what they know about the game. We don't know what they've learned, what their goals are, why they're back in the corner. Maybe he's taking a phone call, all of those things. But I like to bring this up because if it is a conscious decision, as in it is a decision that the player thinks this is a good decision, and it's not something based on circumstances or some other reason, then those kinds of brain waves and thoughts need to be changed if you want to win. If you don't want to win, fine. You know, I get comments when I do videos like this. People say, well, they have different motivations. They don't care. You're never going to change anything. It doesn't matter. Well, for the people that do want to change things, it's instructive, I think, informative, to show them situations like this. Now, this one is really easy to see. The top tier heavy, theirs went to A1. Ours, me, went into the city and started beating people up. Right? Started beating people up. The guys in the valley did fine. They killed a few guys. That's great. We had a couple guys kind of down the south. Now we got the Basoto wandering around over there. They did okay. The T-25 did his TD thing. So kind of everyone on my team did their thing. But it's a fairly even game. I mean, imagine the Tiger 1 had been in town with a little support before we killed them all. So if he had showed up and was competent, even any kind of competent, showed up and fought me, and maybe even if he was bad, if he was there, his team would have had a much better chance in the town, a much better chance of winning. And he may have slowed down the valley push a little bit. And sometimes I think that's what's going through people's minds when they go to that position. He may have slowed down them a little bit because of his gun is fairly accurate. And it really is actually a fairly decent sniper gun. However, it would have served his team much more to go into the town. Or to push the valley and be up front punching people in the face with the gun that he's got. I mean, I think he would have eaten up, had he been up there pushing a little bit, he may have eaten those guys up. And now we got a problem with the Tiger pushing through the valley. Potential, possible problem. So both of those I'll buy. I don't like the valley, but I'll buy that to some extent. But the go back and camp in the corner thing just crippled. Much like the positioning of the 105 in the game before on my team crippled our chances. His positioning crippled his chances. And I think, unlike last game's example, this one, he actually had a chance to change things around a little bit based on the hit points and how the game's going. Had he been in the right position, maybe we have much more trouble, and this is a much closer game. The first one, nothing probably changes in the end. It's probably still a fairly significant rumple stomp, but he may have helped us kill a couple guys in there. So there you go, guys. My thoughts on initial positioning. How important it is for even one individual player, especially as a top tier, and I think especially as a heavy, not on all maps, but a good number of them. When your top tier heavies don't position well, and slash your top tiers at all don't position well, whatever type they are, class they are, it really cripples your team's chances. Now, you need to learn to work around it and do what you can. We can bitch and moan about it, but it is instructive, though, to look at it and go, ooh, how would I handle that? I don't have any good answers. The one before, I don't know if there was any handling it. I did the best I could to get some damage, fell back, went to where my other guys were, all that good stuff. On this one, I don't know what the other team necessarily could do because he's so far away from the cap. He has zero influence on what's going on over there, and we just cap this out if he sits there, right? So we took enough power into city to win, and other than maybe blitzing across over to the east late and maybe getting there before we cap, which is unlikely, there's not a lot he's going to do. He's put himself so far out right there. Let me know what you think down below, guys. What do you think of that whole idea of the initial positioning and how important it is? Divorce it a little bit, I think, from the discussion about why people do it, because sometimes there's valid reasons. I threw a couple out there just out of my arse. Phone call, went in there, gets beat up a lot, wants to last longer, won a game from that corner once, all that kind of stuff. Basically, in my opinion, when your top tiers don't position well, it really significantly hurts your team's chances. And maybe that is, to some extent, that's like saying water's wet. Although some of you will argue with me about that. The sun is hot? I don't know. But at the same time, it's important. It is, because we all get into those games when we're top tier and we look at it, and for whatever reason, our decision making goes off the rails and we put ourselves in a crappy spot. And sometimes it's not as obvious as these two, but it's instructive to go back and look at the replay and go, why was I in a bad spot? And then if you look at maybe your analysis of the team and the map and the mode, you go, ooh, yeah, that probably wasn't a great idea. Or potentially there was some SA as you were moving to that spot or somewhere in the game that you missed that may have informed you to change that position. Now that's where we get into the more nuanced pieces of it rather than something as obvious as these two. But you got to learn these ideas here first, building block approach, before you can step up to the more nuanced decision making. And that's why the super unis are super unis. They've really got this kind of stuff down, and they're moving on to the more advanced building blocks and processing it faster. That's all I've got for today, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Appreciate your support of the channel. Have a fantastic day, and we will see you.